Captain Liam sat in the dimly lit briefing room aboard the human ship Tempest, staring at the large screen before him. The mission ahead was unlike any he had encountered before. The officer standing before him, Commander Harris, didn't waste any time on formalities. "Captain, this mission is critical," Harris said, his voice low and serious. "We've received intelligence about an alien artifact located on the distant planet, Cormith 7. We believe it holds the key to a new weapon that could change the course of the war." Liam nodded, listening closely. The war between humans and the alien Zeraxians had been raging for years, and every advantage counted. But there was something about this mission that felt different, something he couldn't quite put his finger on. "The artifact's location is in a remote desert region of Cormith 7, Harris continued. "You're to land, retrieve the artifact, and return. That's all. Simple, fast, no complications." Liam had seen his fair share of dangerous missions, but something about this one made his stomach tighten. It wasn't the desert planet or the hostile aliens that worried him, it was the secrecy. The artifact they were after wasn't just some relic, it was something much more powerful. And he didn't trust the Zeraxians to just leave it lying around for the taking. But orders were orders. Liam wasn't one to question them, especially not with so many lives depending on the success of this mission. "Understood, Commander," Liam replied, standing up from the table. He grabbed his gear, feeling the weight of the situation press down on him. The Tempest was already en route to Cormith 7, and he had no time to waste. As he walked down the narrow hall of the ship, he couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in his gut. It wasn't like him to second-guess orders, but there was something off about this mission. He had fought in countless battles, faced dangers beyond belief, but this felt different. It was almost as if they were being led into a trap. Hours later, the Tempest landed on the barren surface of Cormith 7. The planet's harsh, orange-red landscape stretched endlessly in every direction. Towering rock formations rose like jagged teeth from the cracked earth. A hot, dry wind whipped across the sand, making the air shimmer with heat. Liam stepped out of the ship, his boots sinking into the soft sand as he adjusted the helmet on. His head, the rest of his team followed, their faces hidden behind similar helmets. The desert planet was eerily quiet, the silence broken only by the sound of the wind and the hum of the ship's engines powering down. "Stay sharp," Liam commanded, his voice steady but serious. "We don't know what's waiting for us out here." The team moved in a tight formation, each soldier alert and ready for anything. They had been briefed on the mission and the dangers of Cormith 7, but no amount of preparation could ever fully prepare them for the unknown. The desert planet had a long history of strange occurrences, mysterious disappearances, unexplained phenomena. Many explorers had come here and never returned. As they made their way across the shifting dunes, the sun beat down relentlessly. Liam could feel the sweat trickling down his back, but he didn't let it distract him. His focus was solely on the task at hand: find the artifact, get in, and get out. The hours passed, and the landscape seemed to stretch on forever. Just as Liam was beginning to wonder if they had taken a wrong turn, they came upon a strange sight. In the distance, there was a faint glow on the horizon. It wasn't natural, it seemed to pulse and flicker, as though something was alive beneath the surface. The glow wasn't the usual light from the planet's sun. It was something different, something unnatural. Liam motioned for the team to stop, his hand raised to signal them to take cover behind the rocks. "Look at that," Liam murmured, his voice tense. "That's not just a mirage, it's coming from somewhere." The team peered through the dust and the heat waves, eyes squinting against the intense light. In the distance, the glow intensified, flickering brighter for a moment before fading back into a soft pulse. "Do you think it's the artifact?" one of the soldiers asked, his voice laced with curiosity. Liam didn't answer immediately. He didn't want to jump to conclusions. They had no idea what they were dealing with yet. What if it was a trap? What if this glow was something the Zeraxians had set up to lure them in? But there was no time for second thoughts. The mission had been clear: find the artifact and return it to their superiors. The sooner they retrieved it, the sooner they could get off this desolate planet and back to safety. Keep your weapons ready, Liam ordered. We're moving out. The team crept forward, their footsteps barely making a sound on the soft sand. The closer they got to the source of the glow, the more the tension in the air grew. It was almost as if the planet itself was holding its breath. As they rounded a large rock formation, Liam's heart skipped a beat. There, just ahead of them, stood something that didn't belong. A small, fragile figure, no larger than a child, was trapped within a glowing energy field. The figure was humanoid, with pale skin and long silver hair that flowed like liquid metal in the soft breeze. The figure's eyes glowed with an eerie light, their color shifting like the glow surrounding them. Liam's first instinct was to approach, to help, but something held him back. This alien, this being, it wasn't just another casualty of the war. This was something different. The power radiating from the tiny woman was unlike anything he had ever felt before. It was as though the very air around her was charged with energy, almost alive. Liam took a cautious step forward, the rest of the team following suit. But as he moved closer, the woman's eyes locked onto his. Her gaze was intense, almost as if she were seeing into his very soul. You're here, she whispered, her voice soft but filled with a strange power. You were always meant to find me. Liam's breath caught in his throat. He had no idea who or what this alien woman was, but one thing was clear: their fates were now intertwined. And whatever happened next would change everything. Liam stood frozen, staring at the strange alien before him. His team had their weapons raised, ready for whatever came next, but something about this creature made them hesitate. The glow surrounding her flickered, casting eerie shadows on the ground, and the air seemed to hum with a quiet, strange energy. She was tiny, no more than 3 feet tall, her delicate frame barely visible through the shimmering energy field that encased her. She didn't look like the typical alien they had encountered in the war. Her skin was pale, almost luminescent, and her hair shimmered like silver strands of liquid metal. Her large violet eyes seemed to peer directly into Liam's soul, as though she knew things about him that even he didn't understand. Who are you? Liam asked, his voice low and careful. The alien woman tilted her head slightly, a soft smile playing at the corners of her lips. She didn't seem afraid, no, she seemed to know something he didn't. I am more than you can understand, human soldier, she replied, her voice musical yet laced with power. But I am your destiny now. Liam's stomach twisted in confusion. Destiny? He was here on a simple mission to retrieve an artifact, not to find some tiny alien who spoke in riddles. Destiny? Liam repeated, his brow furrowing. What do you mean? The woman's eyes glowed brighter for a moment, and the air around them seemed to crackle. Then, with a sudden motion, the energy field that surrounded her flickered and vanished as if it had never been there. She stood before them, completely vulnerable, yet utterly confident. I have waited for you, Captain Liam, she said, her voice now tinged with urgency. For centuries, my people have been hiding, and I am the last of my kind. The one who will bring balance or destruction. Liam's breath caught. The weight of her words sank in. What do you want from me? The alien woman stepped forward, her small feet barely making a sound as she moved through the sand. I need your help. You see, I am the key to something far greater than this war, far greater than your human battles. Liam glanced back at his team, who were still standing alert, unsure of whether to approach or keep their distance. He couldn't blame them. This alien woman, though seemingly harmless, had an undeniable presence. The air around her felt alive, charged with an energy that seemed to pull at him, urging him to listen. You want me to help you?" Liam asked, unsure how to process her request. He had seen his share of strange alien creatures, but nothing like this. The idea of one of them calling him Destiny felt like something out of a myth, not a military mission. "Yes, Captain," she sighed, her voice soft yet filled with authority. "You are the one I have chosen, the one who will unlock my power." Before Liam could ask any more questions, the ground beneath them began to tremble. A low rumble echoed through the sand, and the sky overhead darkened as a fleet of alien ships appeared from the horizon, their engines roaring like thunder. Liam's instincts kicked in. He motioned for his team to fall into defensive positions, but the alien woman's calmness never wavered. She didn't seem to fear the incoming threat. Instead, her eyes gleamed with something else, something dangerous. "They found us," she whispered, her voice filled with a strange mix of determination and sadness. "But this is only the beginning, Captain. What I need from you is far greater than anything you've ever faced before. You must decide now, will you help me fulfill my destiny, or will you let them take me?" The sound of the ships grew louder, closer, until Liam could see the dark shapes breaking through the dust storm. The enemy had arrived. They weren't just here for the artifact anymore. They were here for her. Liam took a deep breath, the weight of his decision pressing down on him. He glanced at his team again, then back at the tiny alien woman. Despite the dangers they faced, he knew one thing for certain. This wasn't just about the mission anymore. This was something much bigger. Something that could change everything. "All right," Liam said, his voice steady and sure. "I'll help you, but you better not be leading me into a trap." The alien woman smiled, her eyes glowing even brighter now. "You'll understand soon enough, Captain. Together, we will unlock what lies hidden in the stars. But first, we must survive." With that, the ships above unleashed a barrage of laser fire, their weapons targeting the ground around them. Liam and his team ducked behind the nearest rocks as explosions rang out, the ground shaking with the force of the blast. "Move!" Liam shouted, pulling his weapon from his side and taking cover. His team followed suit, firing at the incoming enemies, but it was clear they were outnumbered. The alien woman, however, was not afraid. She raised her hand, and suddenly, a shimmering force field surrounded her and Liam's team. The blasts from the ships bounced off harmlessly, but the force field wasn't invincible. It flickered, weakened with each blast. Liam's heart raced. "We need to move now," he ordered, his voice filled with urgency. The enemy was closing in fast, and their time was running out. But with the alien woman at his side, Liam couldn't help but feel like they had a chance, however slim it might be. With the alien woman's power guiding him, Liam sprinted toward the rocky canyon in the distance, the hum of energy and the sound of laser fire echoing in the air. They couldn't stop yet. They had to survive. And somehow Liam knew this was only the beginning. The chaos of the attack seemed to slow as Liam ran, each step feeling heavier than the last. The air was thick with dust and the deafening sound of energy blasts. But one thing was clear: his world had just been turned upside down. The alien woman, her name was still a mystery, was leading them through the labyrinth of rocks and dunes, guiding them with uncanny precision. Despite the chaos around them, she seemed completely at ease. The power surrounding her was undeniable. Her glowing eyes, her delicate yet confident demeanor, and the strange energy she wielded. It was as if she were born for this moment. Liam stole a glance at her. "How are you doing that?" he asked, struggling to keep his breath steady as they sprinted toward the canyon. "I told you, Captain," she replied, her voice cool and calm despite the situation. "I am the key. The power inside me is not just for survival, it is the power to change the course of everything. But it's more than just strength, it's a bond, a connection." Liam frowned, trying to make sense of her cryptic words. He had always believed power was something tangible, something that could be measured, controlled. But this was different. He had seen soldiers and commanders with incredible strength, but none of them had this kind of energy. This kind of purpose. As they reached the cover of the canyon, Liam's team quickly regrouped, taking defensive positions along the rocks. The alien ships were circling above, their weapons firing intermittently, but the woman's shield held strong. Still, the tension in the air was growing. They couldn't stay here forever. Why did you say a bond? Liam asked, his curiosity piqued. What does that mean? What kind of bond? She turned to face him, her gaze softening for a moment. The bond between us is not just one of protection or convenience, Captain. It is deeper than that. You are not simply my protector. She paused, her voice trailing off as if struggling with the weight of her own words. You are the one who will unlock my true potential. Liam shook his head in confusion. Unlock? I'm just a soldier. What could I possibly do for you? The alien woman didn't answer immediately. Instead, she raised her hand, and a soft, radiant light emanated from her fingertips. Liam watched, mesmerized, as a pattern of symbols, ancient and strange, began to glow in the air around them. They weren't just random shapes. They were precise, connected, and familiar in a way Liam couldn't explain. Before he could ask anything more, one of his team members, Private Jordan, shouted from the edge of the canyon, "Sir, we've got incoming. They're not giving up." Liam snapped out of his trance. Everyone, get ready. We'll have to fight our way out of this. But as he turned back to the alien woman, she raised her hand again. This time, the symbols in the air expanded, forming a massive shield around them. The force field hummed with power, vibrating the very air as the enemy fire ricocheted harmlessly off the barrier. You just did that with a gesture? Liam asked, his mind racing. This was far beyond anything he had ever encountered. Woman's eyes glowed brighter, and for the first time, she allowed herself a small, knowing smile. That was just a taste, Captain, but it's not enough. The power I possess is not meant to be controlled by just anyone. It requires trust, a connection. Only with you can it be fully unlocked. Liam was silent for a long moment. He wanted to question her, to demand more answers, but deep down, something inside him told him she wasn't lying. He couldn't explain it, but he could feel the truth in her words, in the way her power resonated with his own instincts. Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to tremble again, more violently this time. The alien ships had increased their fire, and the canyon walls around them were beginning to crack under the pressure. Liam's team scrambled to find better cover, but Liam knew they couldn't keep up this fight for long. We need a plan, he said firmly, turning to the alien woman. We can't hold them off forever. There has to be more to this than just running and hiding. The woman's eyes locked onto his, and in that moment, Liam felt a shift. It wasn't just her gaze, it was the way the air around them seemed to thrum with energy. The bond, the connection she had spoken of, was stronger now, undeniable. Then let's end this. Captain, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. It's time for you to unlock my true power. Liam wasn't sure what she meant, but there was no time for questions now. He didn't understand how or why, but in that instant, he knew what he had to do. He reached out instinctively, his hand touching hers. The moment their fingers met, a surge of energy shot through him, electric and overwhelming. His heart raced as a deep, unfamiliar power flowed through his veins. The alien woman's body shimmered with light, her form becoming translucent for a moment. And then, the symbols in the air grew even brighter, the barrier around them expanding exponentially. You're not just protecting me, Liam, she whispered, her voice carrying a new, almost ethereal quality. You're unlocking me. Together we can stop them. And that's when Liam felt it, the full force of the power that had been dormant inside her, now awakening. It wasn't just a shield or a weapon. It was something far more profound. A wave of energy erupted from her, pushing the alien ships back as if they were nothing more than leaves in the wind. Liam watched in awe as the enemy forces faltered, their ships spinning out of control. But the battle was far from over. Now that the power was unleashed, Liam realized they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for something much bigger, something that could change the fate of entire worlds. The ground shook beneath Liam's boots as the air around them hummed with energy. The alien woman, his mysterious companion, stood beside him, her form glowing brighter than ever before, as if drawing energy from the planet itself. The enemy ships had retreated, but the battle was far from over. In fact, Liam had a sickening feeling in his gut that this was just the beginning. As the dust settled, the wind swept through the canyon, carrying with it the faintest sound of a distant engine. Then suddenly, the roar of engines grew louder. More ships. But these weren't the same Zeraxian forces that had first attacked them. These were something different, something more terrifying. Liam's eyes narrowed. "We're not safe yet," he said, turning to the alien woman. She didn't flinch, her eyes remaining calm despite the chaos unfolding around them. "I told you, Captain, they won't stop. Not until they have me." Liam's team quickly fell into defensive positions, their weapons raised and ready. But he couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to face something much worse than they had prepared for. The Zeraxians were dangerous enough, but these new forces were on a different level. And the way the alien woman spoke so certain, so calm, suggested she knew more than she was letting on. "Who are they?" Liam asked, his voice urgent. The alien woman's gaze turned to the horizon, her face unreadable. "The Dreshkai," she said softly, "an ancient race. They were once the rulers of this galaxy, but they fell long ago. They've been hunting my kind for centuries, determined to wipe us out. And now they know I'm here." Liam swallowed hard. The Dreshkai? He had never heard of them, but from the way she spoke, it was clear that they were no ordinary enemy. They were ancient, powerful, and they wanted something from her, something that Liam didn't fully understand yet. "Are you sure we can't just leave? Call for backup?" Liam asked, though deep down, he knew there was no escaping them now. The enemy wasn't just going to let them walk away. The alien woman shook her head. "There's no time. If they catch us, they will not only destroy me, but everything I represent. You're already a part of this now, Captain. You have no choice but to fight." Liam felt a pang of frustration. He wasn't afraid of a fight, he had been in countless battles. But this felt different. There was something about the alien woman, something about the power inside her, that made him question everything he thought he knew about war, about survival. Before he could respond, a flash of light cut through the air as the Dreshkai ships dropped out of hyperspace, appearing in the sky above them like a storm on the horizon. They were massive, their sleek dark forms contrasted against the orange glow of the planet's setting sun. There were hundreds of them, too many to count. "They're here," the alien woman whispered, her voice laced with a deep sadness. Liam gritted his teeth, his hand tightening around the grip of his weapon. He wasn't going to let them take her. Not now, not after everything they had been through. "Hold your ground," he barked to his team. "We fight for her, and we fight for the future. We will not let them win." The soldiers nodded, their faces set with grim determination. But Liam could see the doubt in their eyes. They knew they were outnumbered. Even with the alien woman's power, they couldn't possibly hope to defeat an entire fleet of Dreshkai warships on their own. The odds were stacked against them, and Liam knew it. But that didn't matter. The first Dreshkai ships began to descend, their powerful engines cutting through the atmosphere with a deafening roar. As they came closer, Liam could make out the details: gleaming silver hulls, their smooth curves designed for speed and destruction. The ships were beautiful in an alien way, but their beauty was the calm before the storm. The alien woman stepped forward, her form now radiating a soft, ethereal glow. She raised her hand, and for the first time, Liam saw a flicker of true fear. In her eyes. Not for herself, but for him, for them. "You don't have to do this," she said, her voice filled with urgency. "They will stop at nothing to take me. You need to leave now." "I can hold them off, but not for long." Liam shook his head. "No, you're not alone in this." Without another word, he signaled his team to advance. They moved as one, a well-oiled machine, taking cover behind the rocky outcroppings and firing at the approaching ships. The enemy didn't hesitate, they returned fire, their weapons lighting up the sky in a deadly dance of energy. Liam and his team were holding their ground, but the Dreshkai ships were relentless. The force field the alien woman had created flickered, weakening under the onslaught. She was draining herself, but still, she refused to retreat. As Liam ducked behind a rock to reload, the alien woman's voice echoed in his mind. "Captain, listen to me. You don't understand the full scope of what's at stake here. My power... It's not just for defense. It's meant to change the course of this war, of everything. You've unlocked a part of it, but you need to do more. You need to trust me, and trust yourself." Liam's heart raced. He had already trusted her. He had no choice but to. But what did she mean by do more? Was there something more he had to do to unlock her power? Just then, the ground shook again, and a massive explosion rocked the canyon. One of the Dreshkai ships had landed, its black hull rising from the dust like a towering monster. From the ship's belly, armored warriors began to pour out, their dark silhouettes against the fiery sky. Liam's heart pounded in his chest. This was it. There was no more time for hesitation. The battle had begun in earnest, and it would either break them or forge them into something new. With the alien woman at his side, he was ready for whatever came next. They had no choice but to fight. The battle raged on, chaos erupting in every direction. Liam and his team had taken refuge behind jagged rocks, exchanging fire with the relentless Dreshkai soldiers who stormed the canyon floor. The alien woman stood at the center of it all, her body glowing brighter with every passing moment. Her energy field was holding strong barely, but Liam knew it wouldn't last forever. "Move! Move!" Liam shouted, rallying his soldiers as they darted between cover. Each of them was trying to hold their own, but the Dreshkai were simply too numerous, their weapons too powerful. Despite the fight, Liam couldn't take his eyes off the alien woman. There was something mesmerizing about her, something more than the power she wielded. Every time she unleashed a wave of energy, she seemed to grow weaker, her form flickering like a candle fighting against the wind. She was giving everything she had to protect them, but Liam knew it wasn't enough. Not against this kind of force. He needed a plan. And fast. A sharp whistle pierced the air, followed by a distant, thunderous explosion. Liam whipped around to see a massive Dreshkai ship breaking through the clouds overhead, its colossal shape casting a shadow over the battlefield. It had landed behind their position, blocking their only escape route. "We're trapped," one of the soldiers muttered, his voice tinged with fear. But Liam wasn't going to let fear take hold. He couldn't. Not now. Not when they were so close. "Stay calm," he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "We've fought worse. We can do this." The alien woman, standing at the center of the battlefield, closed her eyes as a surge of power radiated from her. The shield around them flickered and expanded, pushing back the enemy troops, but only for a moment. "Liam," she whispered, her voice faint, almost lost in the wind. "There is more. More than what you see. You are not just here to protect me. You're the key." Liam's chest tightened at her words. "The key? What are you talking about?" Her eyes opened, glowing brighter than ever. "The power I possess, it's not just mine. You must unlock it, Captain. Together, we are the catalyst for something greater, a weapon. A force capable of changing everything. Liam's mind raced. You've already shown me what you can do. You're powerful, but we're outnumbered. You can't do this alone. No, she whispered, a slight smile forming on her lips. I'm not alone. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled as another explosion tore through the canyon. Liam staggered, barely catching himself against the rocks. His mind screamed for a solution, but before he could make a move, the alien woman raised both hands toward the sky. The energy around her began to shift, swirling and coiling like a storm. Liam's heart skipped a beat as he watched her pull in all the energy she had gathered, every ounce of her power. It was like watching a star collapse, unstoppable, overwhelming. And then, with a deafening roar, she released it. The shockwave that followed was unlike anything Liam had ever experienced. The ground cracked open, the air vibrated with pure force, and the Dreshkai soldiers were thrown back like ragdolls. The power surged outward in every direction, ripping through the battlefield. The ships above trembled, their hulls groaning. Under the pressure, Liam's breath caught in his throat as the alien woman's form flickered, her energy now fully unleashed. For a moment, everything stopped, everything paused in awe of the sheer magnitude of what had just occurred. She collapsed to her knees, the energy around her slowly dissipating as her glow began to fade. Liam rushed to her side, but before he could speak, she looked up at him, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and sadness. I did it, she said weakly. But it's only temporary. The Dreshkai will return stronger than before. And so will the power you've unlocked. Liam's heart raced. What do you mean? What's happening? You can't just leave me hanging like this. The alien woman's smile was faint, but there was a depth to it. What I've given you, it's only a fragment of what's to come. You're the one who must guide it, Captain. You're the one who will decide how it is used. But there's more to this than we both realize. Liam's mind was spinning. He had just witnessed the true extent of her power, something beyond human comprehension. But what did it all mean? How was he supposed to carry this burden? And why him? Before he could ask any more questions, a deep rumble echoed through the canyon. The Dreshkai fleet wasn't retreating, they were regrouping. More ships descended from the sky, their black silhouettes blotting out the sun. This time, they weren't just sending soldiers. They were preparing for something far worse. They're calling reinforcements, the alien woman said, her voice strained. They know what we're capable of. And they won't stop until they have everything. Liam clenched his fists. Then let them come. We'll fight them all. The alien woman's eyes met his, and for the first time, she seemed to see him in a new light. You will need more than just a weapon to win this fight. You'll need me. And you'll need to trust in the bond we share. Liam nodded, determination flooding through him. He couldn't lose her now. He couldn't afford to fail. This was no longer just about surviving a battle. This was about standing against an enemy that threatened not just their world, but everything. And with her power within him, Liam finally understood. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for the future. Get ready, he said, turning to his team. We're not backing down. We end this here. The final wave of Dreshkai soldiers descended. Their warships loomed large in the sky, but Liam knew one thing for sure. Whatever came next, they were ready. The sky above Kormuth 7 had turned a deep, ominous red as the Dreshkai fleet hovered ominously above the canyon. The distant rumble of their engines echoed through the air, a constant reminder that their time was running out. Liam stood at the forefront, his eyes locked on the incoming threat. His team was bracing for impact, weapons ready, but the alien woman beside him, exhausted from the earlier outburst of power, was barely holding on. Her energy had depleted quickly, and the pale glow that had once surrounded her was now nothing. More than a faint shimmer. We don't have much time, she whispered, her voice strained. The Dreshkai know. They've been waiting for this. Liam felt a cold shiver run down his spine. Waiting for what? The enemy had already thrown everything at them. And yet, it felt like there was something bigger, something far more dangerous looming. Over them, as if on cue, a deep voice called out from behind them. "You're not going anywhere." Liam spun around, his hand instinctively reaching for his weapon. Standing there, in the shadow of the rocks, was Sergeant Carson, one of the trusted members of his team. But there was something off about him, his posture, his expression. He wasn't holding his weapon, nor was he ready for a fight. In fact, he almost seemed relaxed. Too relaxed. Liam's instincts flared. Something was wrong. "What are you talking about, Carson?" Liam asked, his voice hard with suspicion. "We're under attack. Get in position." Carson smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You don't get it, do you, Captain?" he said slowly, stepping forward. "I've been waiting for this day, just like the Dreshkai." Liam's heart skipped a beat. "What the hell are you talking about?" Carson's eyes gleamed with a cold, calculating light. "I'm not just some soldier, Liam. I've been working for the Dreshkai this whole time. You were never meant to win. I was planted here to lead you straight to her. The artifact, her power, it's all a lie." The words hit Liam like a sledgehammer. His brain raced to process what Carson was saying, but it didn't make sense. Carson was a loyal soldier. They had fought side by side countless times. He couldn't be. "No," Liam said, shaking his head in disbelief. "You can't be serious. Why would you do this?" Carson stepped closer, his voice low and almost taunting. "Why? Because I was promised more power than you could ever imagine, Captain. The Dreshkai offered me a future beyond this war. I only had to deliver her to them, and I've done exactly that." Liam felt his fists clench, anger boiling within him. "You've been feeding them information? Betraying us all?" "Not just information," Carson replied, his eyes gleaming with dark satisfaction. "I've been feeding them you. You're nothing but a pawn in their game, a human soldier trapped by your own honor and loyalty. You never realized it, but the moment you touched her, you sealed your fate." Liam's mind raced. Carson wasn't just a traitor. He had been orchestrating everything, setting them up for failure from the very beginning. But there was more to this. The alien woman, the power she held, everything had been manipulated. This was no simple betrayal. Before Liam could speak, the alien woman spoke, her voice weak but resolute. You were always a part of their plan," she said, her eyes turning to Carson with a mixture of disappointment and sadness. "I knew the Dreshkai would come for me, but I never imagined someone like you would fall to them." Carson smirked, but there was no satisfaction in his expression. Only a hollow sense of triumph. "You're the one who never understood. You're a weapon, a tool. That's all you've ever been to them, all you've ever been to me. The Dreshkai will use your power, and I'll be at their side when they do." Liam took a step forward, every muscle in his body screaming for action. But then, something strange happened. The alien woman, despite her weakened state, stepped between him and Carson. Her presence was undeniable, and as she lifted her hand, the energy around her pulsed once again. "No," she said firmly, her voice rising with newfound strength. "You may have deceived them, Carson. But you've also underestimated me." Liam was confused. He had thought she was too drained to fight, but the power radiating from her now was unlike anything he had seen before. It was like a wave crashing over them both, pushing Carson back a few steps. The ground beneath them trembled as the alien woman gathered her strength, her eyes glowing bright enough to light up the entire canyon. "Stop," she commanded, her voice filled with authority. "The Dreshkai will never have me. Not while I have him." Liam was stunned by her words. "What do you mean?" Before he could finish, Carson stumbled backward, his hand instinctively reaching for his sidearm. But the alien woman was quicker. A single gesture from her sent a shockwave rippling through the air, knocking Carson's weapon from his hand and sending him sprawling to the ground. "You were never meant to control me," she said softly, her voice calm but filled with a quiet rage. "You were never meant to control any of us." Liam stepped forward, his heart pounding. Carson, now on the ground, looked up at them, his expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. This isn't over," Carson muttered, scrambling to his feet. "You think you've won? The Dreshkai will. They won't." The alien woman interrupted, her voice unwavering. "I am not a tool to be used, and neither is Captain Liam." There was a long silence. Liam's mind was spinning, the realization of Carson's betrayal still fresh. But there was something else. Now, too, a spark of hope. The alien woman wasn't just a weapon. She was far more than that. And she had just proven it. But even as Carson backed away, eyes wide with fear, the battle outside the canyon was far from over. The Dreshkai were still coming, and now they knew everything. The real fight was only just beginning. Liam turned to the alien woman, his resolve hardening. "What now?" he asked, his voice steady. "Now," she said, "we take the fight to them. And this time, they won't be the ones pulling the strings." The air was thick with tension, crackling with the residue of power that still lingered in the canyon. The Dreshkai fleet loomed above them, their warships casting long dark shadows over the battlefield. Each ship was a fortress of death, gleaming black against the smoldering orange sky, and yet, Liam felt something stir inside him, a sense of certainty that he hadn't felt before. This wasn't just another fight. This was the moment that would define everything. Carson's betrayal had shattered any illusions Liam had, but it also revealed the truth. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for something far greater, something the Dreshkai couldn't control. Something that could change the fate of the entire galaxy. Liam stood alongside the alien woman, who was now fully restored, her energy pulsing around her like a force field. The Dreshkai were no longer an enemy they could simply outgun. They were a symbol of everything corrupt and destructive, and with the alien woman's power, they had the chance to end it all. But she wasn't the only key. Liam had become a part of this power, whether he liked it or not. The alien woman, her silver hair shimmering in the fading light, turned to him. Her eyes locked with his, and in that moment, it was as if the whole world fell away. "We can end this, Captain," she said, her voice steady yet filled with urgency. "You and I, together. But we can't do it with just strength. It has to be more. It has to be us, our connection. This is the final test." Liam swallowed hard. He had no doubt she was right. The battle they were about to face wasn't one they could win by sheer force alone. They needed something deeper, something that transcended the war, the power, and the enemies. But the question was, could they unlock it in time? A low hum filled the air, and the ground shook as the Dreshkai forces prepared for the final assault. Liam's team had positioned themselves along the canyon, their weapons trained on the incoming ships. They had no intention of backing down. But no amount of firepower would hold back the storm that was coming. Liam glanced back at the alien woman. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady, though his heart raced. She nodded, a smile playing at the edges of her lips. "Then it begins." Suddenly, a beam of blinding light shot down from the sky. It hit the ground just ahead of them, cutting through the canyon like a blade through flesh. The Dreshkai ships above began firing, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts that tore at the earth. The canyon walls crumbled, rocks falling like rain. Liam's team opened fire, but it was clear the Dreshkai weren't just attacking, they were trying to break them, to force them into submission. The alien woman raised her arms, and a surge of energy erupted from her. The beam of light she had created swirled and expanded, forming a massive protective barrier around them. The enemy's blasts bounced off the force field like pebbles striking a mountain. Liam watched in awe as the alien woman's power swirled around them, pulsing with life and intensity. But even as she fought to protect them, her form flickered, her energy draining with each passing second. She was pushing herself to the limit. "They'll keep coming," Liam said, stepping beside her, his weapon raised. "We can't just defend forever." "No," she replied, her voice low. "It's time to push back." Without warning, she dropped her shield. The entire canyon seemed to hold its breath as the Dreshkai forces reared back, expecting an easy victory. But they were about to get a different kind of surprise. The alien woman's eyes flashed, and suddenly the air around them trembled. The ground cracked open, and from beneath the surface, massive tendrils of energy shot upward, coiling around the Dreshkai ships, pulling them toward the ground. The air was filled with a low, rumbling growl as the energy field began to take on a life of its own. Liam stood in awe as the alien woman unleashed everything she had. The ships above were caught in the maelstrom, their engines sputtering as they were pulled into the energy vortex. But this wasn't just about destroying the ships, it was about sending a message. The alien woman turned to Liam, her voice barely a whisper, yet filled with immense power. "This is the final choice, Captain. The Dreshkai will never give up. They will always return, but I've given you a choice. With my power, you can change the course of the galaxy. You can lead, not just as a soldier, but as the force that stops them." Liam's mind was racing. The weight of her words pressed down on him. Could he really lead this fight? Could he truly bear the responsibility of not just defeating the Dreshkai, but also shaping the future? Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to rumble. The Dreshkai were regrouping, but the alien woman's power had already taken its toll on her. She had fought bravely, but her energy was running dangerously low. Liam stepped forward, reaching out to her. He could feel the bond between them, the connection that had grown since the beginning of this journey. It was more than just about protecting her now. It was about protecting everything they had fought for. "Together," Liam said, his voice full of resolve, "we finish this." With a final surge of energy, the alien woman and Liam combined their forces. The air around them crackled with raw power as the energy tendrils grew stronger, engulfing the Dreshkai fleet in a wave of light. The ships screeched in protest, their hulls breaking apart under the force. The battle had reached its climax. Liam and the alien woman stood side by side, their powers working in unison. The entire battlefield was illuminated in a blinding light as the Dreshkai were finally overwhelmed, their ships falling from the sky in a fiery explosion. The canyon shook, the ground splitting open as the last of the invaders was wiped out. When the dust settled, the alien woman collapsed to her knees, exhausted. The bond between them remained, but the battle was over. They had won. Liam stepped toward her, his breath heavy, but his heart lighter than it had been in days. "We did it," he said, his voice soft. The alien woman smiled, though it was tinged with sadness. "It's not over, Captain. The galaxy is vast, and with your power, you can change it. But the real battle is just beginning." Liam looked out over the battlefield, the horizon stretching out before him. The war with the Dreshkai was over, but what lay ahead was something far greater. And together, they would face it.